If you are new to home automation and you are looking for a smart home hub, or if you are already a Hubitat Elevation owner, or if you're just on the fence about switching to Hubitat, Hubitat has just released their C8 hub. Let's look at what makes this little rascal so special. Stay tuned. Hey smart homers, John Stone, the DIY smart home guy. Hubitat has just released their Elevation Hub version C8. For those of you that are new to the home automation game, Hubitat and other similar hubs act as a central brain of the smart home. Hubitat supports Zigbee and Z-Wave devices and integrates with Alexa, Google Home, Philips Hue, Lutron, and much, much more. The advantage of Hubitat is that everything runs local, which means that it's private, reliable, and fast. I've done a number of videos on Hubitat. I'll leave a link to a few of those in the description below. The Hubitat Elevation C8 is the 4th generation of the hub. The C3 is the Hubitat OG with built-in Zigbee and an external Z-Wave USB stick. The C5 ditched the dongle in favor of an internally mounted Z-Wave chip. Unfortunately, the internal antenna didn't have a lot of range. Now, since this is a mesh network device, not having a lot of range shouldn't matter, as the story goes. With Z-Wave and Zigbee, you don't need to talk directly to the edge device, only its neighbors. And that's great in theory. In my first video reviewing the Hubitat Elevation, you saw me walking around with the hub tethered to a super long Ethernet cable and a battery pack. While I admit I was mostly poking fun at the lack of range capabilities, I really did need to walk around the house with this thing tethered to an Ethernet cable. This is because I had an existing Z-Wave network that I was transferring over to the Hubitat Elevation. This meant that I needed to exclude existing devices, and that can only be done directly from a hub and not through a mesh network. The C7 release moved forward into the 700 series Z-Wave chip. My personal experience with the C7 has been awesome, and I'll admit that the range of the 700 series Z-Wave chip has been far superior to that of the C5. As soon as you pull the C8 out of the box, you will see that all that has changed. They've got good and proper antenna. In a little bit, I will be performing a legit range comparison between the C7 and the C8. The C8 also features built-in Wi-Fi. That's right, you are no longer tethered to an Ethernet port. This means you can pick your hub location based on how you're building out your mesh network and not where you happen to put your router. Whether it's the ability to move the hub due to Wi-Fi or the sexy new antennae, you will definitely see an improved performance with the speed of your network and the control over your edge devices. And as if these things are not enough, the C8 also provides provisions for future Matter capabilities, Zigbee version 3.0 and adjustable Zigbee power, the Z-Wave 800 chipset, and a USB-C power port. The CPU and the RAM are unchanged, at least according to the information that I have at this time, but that's not a big deal because I find the C7 to be perfectly capable. To test out the Z-Wave and Zigbee range improvement, I've set up a couple of scenarios. Both will include and exclude a device on a Virgin hub. To get the most out of my distance test, I'm going to set both hubs up over at my wife's coffee station. These red lines indicate distance increments of roughly 20 feet or 6 meters from the hub. I'm then going to include and exclude some devices at various points around the house to get an idea for the true unassisted range. And when I say unassisted range, I mean there's no help of a mesh network or repeaters. I'll be performing the same test on both hubs with this Kwikset Z-Wave lock, this Z-Wave contact sensor, this Zigbee contact sensor, and this Zigbee RGBW floodlight. I baseline the performance of both hubs here in an unobstructed line of sight 20 feet with all devices. I then moved roughly 20 feet further away from the hub and repeated all of the tests. On the C8 hub, the lock performed very well and I was able to successfully pair without a mesh at the far reaches of my house. The C7 Z-Wave didn't fare so well. It was reliable out to about 40 feet. At 60, inclusions were hit and miss. Pretty much anything beyond 60 feet was a no-go. Comparing that back to the new C8 Z-Wave capabilities, I was getting reliable connections at 60 feet and had success all the way out to the outer reaches of my house. Z-Wave on the C8 reaches at least twice the distance of that on the C7 hub. It's a similar story for Zigbee. On the C7, pairing started getting sketchy at about 40 feet, 60 feet was a no-go. Much different story on the C8 hub, where bulletproof connections were at 40 feet and workable all the way out to 60 feet. Beyond 60 feet was sketchy to no-go, but this is at least a 50% range improvement in my house. Your mileage may vary. With regard to upgrading, that's a pretty simple proposition. The nice thing about the Hubitat is that the functionality of the platform pretty much stays the same from hardware version to hardware version. That is, with exceptions to the settings features that are specific to the capabilities of that particular hardware version. Bottom line is there's pretty much nothing new to learn, except for the migration. And rather than have me blather on about how to do the upgrade and probably get most of it wrong, I've called in some reinforcements. Hey Pete, how you doing?
Doing great, John. Great to be here.
Nice. Hey, first off, I just want to say congratulations on the release of the C8 hub. I think that thing is an animal, and you guys should be proud.
Oh, thanks a lot. I mean, our engineers put a ton of work into it. We're super excited to have this coming out, and we think it's going to be a great year for us and all of our customers.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a smash hit. So when it comes to upgrading from the C5 or the C7 to the C8, can you describe that process to me real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a free migration tool for any C5, C7 owners. Essentially, you just save a backup to our cloud server from your old hub. And then when you log into your new hub, there's a button that just says, would you like to restore from an old hub? And you click that and follow the process and you're on your way.
Awesome. Is there a charge for that?
Nope, absolutely free. Absolutely free.
About how long is this process going to take?
I mean, it's really quick. You save a backup, it just takes a few minutes, and then you log into the new one, you have to reboot it and everything, and 15 minutes total. You should be up and running with your new hub with all of your devices and all of your apps ready to go.
So is that going to include like my custom drivers? I've got custom drivers, custom apps, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, your entire database moved from the one hub to the other. The only caveat is if you use maybe you have some LAN-based devices or apps, you might have to go back in and reauthorize those. But they'll all be moved over, and it's a very slick and easy process.
So I guess the next big accomplishment is this thing has Wi-Fi.
Yep, we've got Wi-Fi, which is very exciting. Allows you to put your hub anywhere in your house, essentially. You don't have to be tied to your router. Now, of course, if you are able to connect to your router directly with the Ethernet connection, that's always better. That's great, and I've been playing around with it. I mean, I've got it over here. Oh yeah, there it is.
Playing around with it, and got it on Wi-Fi, and it's snappy, it's fast, and so I've had no complaints. But I really like that. Can you just come in straight on Wi-Fi? Do you need to have Ethernet involved at all?
We have instructions. If you just use the little QR code, you have instructions for both Wi-Fi and Ethernet connection when you get the hub. So follow along and you'll get connected right away.
So going back to the upgrade process, can we expect this to be free, or are we going to have to pay for it at some point in the future?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to make it as easy for our customers to upgrade as possible. So moving forward, I think this is going to continue to be the plan, until the robots take over and we all have chips implanted in our brains and we don't need to upgrade anymore. I don't know what the future holds.
Once we have matter in our brains, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, but for now, yeah, we hope to continue to make it as easy as possible.
And I'll give you the disclaimer. Obviously, strategies change and things change, so this isn't a promise that it's going to be free forever, I'm assuming.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, any other things we need to know about? What secret releases are coming? What's coming down the pipe that we need to know?
We like to surprise people, but no, we're very excited about this. Obviously, if you upgrade to the C8, you'll continue to get all the future firmware and platform updates that we come out with. So yeah, we do have things we're expected to come out with this year to enhance the product, but that's all I'd like to share with you right now.
Well, cool. All right. Well, Pete, that pretty much wraps up everything I had. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, and John, just thanks a lot for sharing Hubitat Elevation with your viewers as well. You've done a great job, and we appreciate everything you've done for us too.
Yep, not a problem. My pleasure, and I'll be sure to put your personal cell phone number in the bottom of every video that I do, so they can just call you.
Oh, excellent. Just what I wanted to hear. So thanks, John.
All right. As Pete mentioned, you can bring this in either with Ethernet or with Wi-Fi. The other thing he didn't talk about is if you start out with Ethernet, you can actually transfer it over to Wi-Fi and then disconnect that Ethernet. So choice is up to you. Use that QR code to get started, and it'll walk you through all of the directions. Overall, the Hubitat Elevation C8 kicks some serious Botox. Is it worth the upgrade? Well, the answer is, in all honesty, it depends. If you're having any sort of network performance problems, I'd say absolutely yes. The antennas will reduce the overall hops that are required by the devices, allowing for faster reaction times. But if you're not having any issues, as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, given the fact that all of the devices, rules, apps, and everything else just transfer over seamlessly, and it happens in minutes and not days like it would be if you were having to exclude and include, then I'd say, heck man, go for it. It's gonna be like nice. He's got the antennas. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to click like, and don't forget to spank that bell icon to be notified of future videos. And over here are a couple of videos that I found under a bush. I've rolled them out just for you. Until next time, cheers.